Hey there, we are coming up on Mother's Day. So, decided to do a trio of Mother's Day videos for you. This is number one. What I'm going to do is essentially 3 recipes inspired by 3 of my favorite or famous, my favorite and famous TV moms, TV movie moms maybe. The first one is going to be a frittata inspired by the Sopranos, Carmella Sopranos, an Italian egg dish, perfect for like a Mother's Day brunch. Absolutely spectacular. We're going to do it right here, but make sure you subscribe and pay attention. 2 more are going to come out. 2 more videos are going to come out really soon. Second one, we're doing George Costanza's mom, Estelle, the marble rye. If you haven't seen the episode, go check it out. We're going to do a marble rye French toast. Really easy to do. We'll do some toppings on it, make it spectacular. And then, for the perfect Mother's Day brunch, my third is going to be Lucille Bluth's Bloody Mary. Got to get a little boozy during Mother's Day. So, let's go ahead. We're going to do the frittata now. In days, I'll have the other ones up. So, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started on our Carmella Soprano inspired frittata. Pan over medium heat or so. I just put it on there, so it's not hot at all. A touch of olive oil just to get the pan started. And we're going to start with a little bit of pancetta, which is really just Italian bacon. I've diced it pretty thin, nice small pieces, and as it cooks out, the fat is going to render out. It's going to essentially become kind of little bacos that are going to flavor our frittata. It, you can see this frittata is going to feed 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 people. So not a whole lot of meat there. This is really going to be the only fat in our frittata, and it's going to bring a ton of flavor. Let it go, probably going to be about 15 minutes until it starts really crisping up. Drain it off, and then we'll be good to go with our next step. Alright, so our pancetta is now nicely rendered down, crispy. I got some of that fat in the pan, which is the combination of the olive oil and the natural drippings. I'm going to leave it there, because what we're going to do now is saute a full leek in that, right in that pancetta. And what I did, I just cut the leek in half, made sure it was nice and clean, and then cut it into these nice little half circles. I'm not going to salt the pan. Chances are it's going to need some salt, but don't know quite how salty that pancetta was. So I'm just going to let it go on its own. We can always add a little bit more salt down at the end. And I'm just going to cook these until the leeks are just nicely melted down. It's going to help release all that yummy bits that are on the bottom of the pan. Keep it over medium heat. This is going to be such an awesome combination. Leeks and pancetta go so nice together. Okay, so my leeks are cooking down, and they're about halfway done. If at any point you start getting too much brown, you're not really looking for a whole lot of brown on the pan. You can do 2 things. One, just turn the heat down a little bit. The other, which isn't really going to hurt anything, is just add a couple tablespoons of water, and that's going to cool the pan down. It's going to release all those little bits and pieces on the bottom of the pan, and actually going to help the leeks cook down a little bit more. These are probably another 7 or 8 minutes from getting done, and once they're cooked through, once they're nice and tender, we're going to take them off, let them cool, and they'll be ready to add to our eggs. All right, so once our leeks and our pancetta are kind of melted all down and together, you want to give them a little taste. I actually did, and they could use a little bit of salt, which I added. I'm going to go ahead and take them off the heat and just let them cool down in a bowl for about 15 minutes or so before we add them to our eggs. Alright, so let's go ahead and put together our frittata base. I've got 8 eggs in there that I just cracked in. Nothing special. I think 8 is probably good for at least 5 to 7 people. And then to that, what I'm going to add, I've got our bacon and leeks there. I also added some blanched asparagus, which I had in the fridge and just kind of blanched off because it's perfect in this recipe. And this is awesome. Again, it's an awesome recipe. If asparagus isn't your thing, add peppers, add whatever you want. You can be super flexible. That's a big handful of Parmesan cheese, a pinch of salt in there. And actually, I don't like to add the pepper until the very end. You could do this, a good hour or 2 ahead of time. And then, oh, you know what? I forgot the milk. So I'm actually going to go ahead and grab my milk. Alright, so I got my milk. I'm just going to add kind of a splash in there. It lightens it up. And then my oven is preheated, and my pan's on the fire. All right, so I've got our pan here. Now, I'm using a pan with a metal handle. It can go inside the oven. If you happen to only have a non-stick or one with a plastic handle, what I recommend, just get a bunch of foil and kind of wrap it around the plastic, and it'll be fine in an oven for the 7 or 8 minutes that we need it there. I've got my oven preheated to about 350, 375. I'm going to add a little bit of butter to my pan, a little bit of olive oil, and that's actually a little much, so I'm going to take just a tiny bit out. You don't want to be shy, and you want to kind of rub it up on the sides of the pan as well. Create as much kind of non-stick surface as you can. And then, once it's in there, we're going to go ahead and just add our egg mixture, our frittata mixture, right to the pan. We'll turn the heat up. And the eggs are just going to start cooking right in the pan here. Now, I'm going to get them about halfway cooked here, and then we're going to move it to the oven to cook it all the way through. Every once in a while, you just kind of want to move the spatula through, and that moves some of the cooked egg and replaces it with some of the wet egg. Okay, so we're probably just at that halfway point here. I'm going to go ahead, give it one more kind of stir around, and I'm actually going to kill the heat. Now remember, my oven is on about 375. My last little add to the frittata is going to be some goat cheese that I've got here. And I'm just going to use kind of scissors to literally just snip off little pieces of goat cheese and let it kind of sit right on top of the frittata, wherever it lies. It's maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 tablespoons in there. If they happen to fall on each other, you can move them around a little bit. The idea is to get a little bit in just about everybody's bite. We give it kind of one more shake, and then we're good to go. I'm going to put this into a 375-degree oven until it's just set. That's probably going to take about 8 or 9 minutes. All right, so after 7 or 8 minutes, you're going to see the egg kind of set all over. It's still a little jiggly, wiggly. You can see when I tapped it a little too hard, some came up, but totally fine. Nice kind of crispy edges, and it it kind of crusts up on you on the edges. Now, big huge mistake trying to take this out right now. You got to let it cool. Just kind of set it into a room temperature part of the kitchen and let it chill for at least 15 or 20 minutes. All right, so now admittedly comes the hardest part of making a frittata, taking it out of the pan. You want to take a knife and kind of gently run around the edges. You notice I'm holding the pan, so it's already cool. Now you do want to take your time doing this step, okay? Now, because it's a little bit tricky, it's not that hard to mess up, and you can kind of tear your frittata. Now, what's the good news is if you make little tiny mistakes, they're super easy to cover up. So don't worry about that. So I did a little bit with the knife. Now I go in with a spatula, same kind of thing. I'm loosening up kind of 2 or 3 inches all the way around the pan, as carefully as you can. And this is going to get us kind of most of the way there. I've loosened it all except for maybe that little middle piece. So that's what I'm talking about. That little piece comes up, just go ahead and eat it. Not going to be a big deal. Nobody's going to notice. Now, you want to grab a cutting board, throw it right on top, and give this the big flip. Woo, right like that. Lay it down, give that a little bit of a tap. See, did it come out? Yippee, it came out. Again, so you don't need to worry about little sticks like that. Not a big deal at all. Now I got it on this side, or that's the underside. That's not the best side to show. So using another cutting board, lay it right on top, do a flip, and there you go. We just go ahead, you can kind of clean up the edges a little bit. If you want, you can serve it like that. We're going to go ahead and cut this up and plate it up. Okay guys, so we are back here with our frittata. I finally got the kids quieted down just a little bit. I'm sure that's going to last about 30 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and slice it just like a pizza, a little wedge shaped here. And I've got my plate. Now, frittatas, they're pretty delicate, right? It's just eggs, so you want to be a little gentle, sliding it over onto the plate. Use a spatula or something like that. And, you know, obviously if you want, you can just eat it like this. I like it like room temperature. I also like a nice little side salad. This is just some greens, a little bit of olive oil, some balsamic splashed on there, salt and pepper, and you are good to go with our Sopranos frittata, and I'll see you next time on No Recipe Required. Alright, Sopranos fans, Carmella Sopranos fans, the mob mother, hope you enjoyed this frittata inspired by her, by the show, by Italian food in general. It's absolutely spectacular. Make sure you subscribe so that you get the next two that are coming out. We've got a Bloody Mary as well as a marble Rye French toast. And check back as often as you can, subscribe, and I will see you next time on No Recipe Required.